Well, hello everybody and happy Easter to all of you. Here we are on another episode of G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. All right, so the winds are blowing again. And according to the warning I got on my smartphone, they're supposed to blow all the way through Tuesday. And then they don't know whether it's going to blow on Wednesday or not. But I'll bet you they do. So, anyway, let's start off today's episode with a shout out to the Burns Family MH on YouTube. And the shout out goes because they just shot a video directed specifically at me and pointing out that they have a garden too, and claiming they have a green thumb. And they're showing all of their plants that are mostly all growing in pots all around their property. So maybe you guys want to stop over and see what you think, and give them some comments and some thumbs ups, and tell them that G Bear sent you over to take a look. All right? Yeah, the name is Burns Family MH. That's Mike Hotel. And it's Burns is B-U-R-N-S family. All right. While you're over there, mention to them that comments are turned off. I tried to comment back to them, but it says comments are off. So I wasn't able to leave a comment for them. And I have no other way of getting that information across. So maybe they're watching this video and they'll see what I've said and go in there and fix that so they can receive your comments too as you go in there and see what they're doing. All right. We're heading down to the greenhouse here because I want to show you some of the things I did, even though the winds have been blowing. Irritating, just totally irritating. Constant wind. I mean, you know, if all I wanted to do was produce electricity, there wouldn't be any wind. But I don't really need to produce any electricity now that the days are longer and the sun is out all day. I got plenty coming in through my solar panels. All right. So in this new pot right here, those two are early Elberta Peach trees. Those are the two that were sprouting up over there in that planter where the Elberta Peach tree is, just from one of the peach pits that fell into the soil last year. It was in that back corner back there, and there was two of them growing out of the same seed. Interesting. So I separated them out as I put them down there, and I'm going to give them a little bit more water because these drying winds really are drying out the trees. But I'm going to show you here let's see if I can get some really noticeable ones. The peaches. Yeah, look at here. The peaches are starting to show up everywhere. Little fuzzy peaches. Look at that, those two down there. So, yep, got loads and loads of peaches showing up here. All on, every branch has got lots of peaches on it. Lots of peaches. So I'll be pulling some of those off down the line. All right, while I'm here, I want to talk a little bit about some of the grafting rules. Some of the easiest rules to follow are will actually help you get involved in grafting. Okay. Number one, you want to make sure you have a nice clean set of pruning shears. Okay, and by clean I mean you don't want to have used them to cut down poison sumac and all kinds of other bad trees that might contaminate the blade. so you don't contaminate your new trees when you cut into their flesh, okay? So if you're going to start grafting, do yourself a favor and go buy yourself a brand new pair of pruning shears and get a set of bypass. Don't get the ones that have the sharp blade that go into an anvil, a flat anvil. Okay, you don't want that type. You want a bypass type. And those will give you a nice clean cut that you can work with when you're doing grafting. So you're going to need that. You're going to also need a very sharp knife. Now, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, let me see if I can do this here without dropping anything. If you don't want to spend a lot of money by going online and buying a grafting knife, you can get yourself one of these folding utility knives, or it doesn't even have to be a folding one. I just like the folding one because it keeps the blade protected. Okay, and this is a Craftsman. You can buy these at any store that sells Craftsman tools. It's nice and heavy duty, and it lasts a long time. And the nice thing is, you can always have a clean blade. So you just buy a big pack of blades from Home Depot or the hardware store when you buy your knife, and keep those handy just for doing your grafting. A nice sharp knife is needed because you've got to make some nice sharp cuts, smooth cuts, to get your grafting to go together. Okay, so that's the tools that you should get. Now, some people have used electrician's tape, plastic electrician's tape, the black tape that you can buy at any hardware store, as the tape to tape these on. You can use that. I don't like using it because of the glue that's on it. The glue could contaminate your cuts, so I like using the parafilm, like this stuff, the parafilm, or using grafting putty, grafting clay. Okay, this clay never hardens, but it's earth-based. It's not don't use Play-Doh. That won't work, because Play-Doh is basically flour, water, and salt. So don't use Play-Doh. Salt will kill your plant. This is grafting putty, or what do they call it? Artist clay, where they make figurines and stuff like that out of clay. So you can use that stuff. Just make sure it's earth-based and not chemical-based. All right? Those are some of the things that you need. Another thing is you could use grafting wax instead of the putty. You don't have to have the putty. You can use grafting wax. The putty actually holds it tight like the tape does. So that's why that makes it nice. The grafting wax won't do that. I've got grafting wax on here, and the grafting wax will heat up in the heat and get soft and sticky, and it doesn't give you a good hold on the scion as you put the scion in. So those are the tools that you should get. You can go online. I went on eBay, and I found eBay and Amazon both carry grafting tools and parafilm. When you're looking for the parafilm, there's a couple of different rolls that you'll see out there. The one that's kind of a narrow, only about 3/8 of an inch wide, that when you see that picture, that's the one that you should get, because it's self-adhering. When you stretch it, it stretches really well, and you can stick it right to itself, so you don't need anything else to do it with. This type of parafilm is basically saran wrap. And the saran wrap, you wrap it around, you can stretch it, but then you have to tie it in a knot for the final wraparound. And this takes a little bit more experience, because while you're trying to do all of that, you got to be careful not to knock your scion graft back and forth and break the perfect connection that it's got with your tree. Okay? So that's a couple of the things that you want to do. Look at this grapevine just popping up leaves really fast. Just overnight, all the leaves have just opened up. Wow, going to be a nice year this year for grapes. So anyway, I've got all of that stuff done, and I also cleaned up all of the extra leaves that were on here. Somebody said, oh, there's something up on top there. Is that a rat? No, it's birds. The birds get in when the winds blow and open up that gap between the two shade cloths, and then they fly under while it's lifted, but then it comes down when the wind stops and they're trapped. They can't get over the 2x4s. So I'll go through and let them out if I see them in there and they're alive. But so that's what this metal pole is for, so I can lift the shade cloth up and give them a way out. But some of them get trapped in there overnight, and I guess they just freak out and die, and not much I can do about that. I've tried bringing things back to life, but I still don't have that trick completely mastered. All right, so back to grafting. So the next thing you want to do when you're doing grafting is you want to choose a good scion from another tree. Should be about the thickness of a pencil, like this one is. Okay, so you want to get something that's about the thickness of a pencil, and first year wood is usually the best. That means a branch that's only a year old, or just a year or a little older than a year old. Okay, the reason for that is it's a young, strong branch, just like people, the young, strong little teenagers running around. Well, you want to do the same thing with your trees. Okay, so that gives them a good start. Now, there are different types of grafts you can do. There's cleft grafts, there's modified grafts, there's bud grafts. This is a bud graft, a bud chip graft. A regular bud graft is similar, but what you would do is you would take a bud like this one that's growing out of the branch right here, and you would cut the bark downward vertically on both sides and across the top and the bottom, and then carefully, very carefully, peel just the bark off of the branch. Okay, leaving a bare spot on the branch. And then you would make a cut like that on the host tree, just about the same size as the one that you just did, so that you can set it in there and have the cambium layers match up. The cambium layers are the important part. If they don't match up, then you're not going to get a good graft. It's not going to be successful. So you got to be careful, not only while doing the graft. See how nice and aligned that is? How nice and aligned that is? Okay. You want to align them as best as possible. If you can get both sides of the cut on there, the cambium layers matching, and that gives you a much better chance of it being a successful graft. Now, if you're wrapping the tape or doing your final connection on there, if you hit this and knock it out of alignment, you're not going to get a good graft. It may take, but you're not going to have good sap flow, because the cambium layer is where the sap moves all the way up the tree as it's going into its, coming out of its dormant stage and starting to grow. And it has to get through that graft cut into the piece that you put on there so that it makes it healthy and strong. It's like if you, say you severed an artery in your arm. Well, if the artery isn't put together and matching properly, you're not going to get good blood flow through that artery, and then whatever the artery is feeding, like your fingers or your hand or whatever, isn't going to get the blood flow it needs, so it's not going to perform correctly. So you do want to make sure that you get a good match on that, okay? Now you can put a small scion, like this one is the size of a pencil, or the diameter of a pencil. You can put it into the side of a larger part of the tree by doing a bark graft. And for those of you who want to know about all the different types of grafts, well, I'll be glad to go over those in a video down the line. I'll set up my tripod. I'll get some branches. They don't have to actually be from a fruit tree. I like grafting fruit trees because I like getting multiple fruit growing on one tree. But I can do it with any tree branch. So I could do it with branches off of these trees so that I can show you the techniques, the different techniques. All right. I can also want to be grafting those mulberries out there, but mulberries they're not compatible with very much of anything in the world. There's really nothing you can graft to a mulberry tree to make it a successful graft. So what I'm going to do is I've got that one tree that's not showing any green growth on it, but the base of the tree still seems to be alive. So I'm going to take a graft cutting scion off of the tree that's really flourishing, the one with the most leaves, and I'll graft that into the base of the other one that's not doing so well. So if it's a successful graft, then that tree will start growing live branches. All right, so those are a few of the things that you want to know about grafting rules, grafting tools that you should have. A few other things just very quickly. When you take a scion from the tree that you want to bring onto your host tree, wrap it in saran wrap, plastic food wrap. Wrap up both ends really well and all the way down the whole shaft, down the whole branch. And that's to keep it from drying out. The other thing is when you're making cuts on that, either your branch or on your scion that you're going to put together, be careful not to touch the open cuts with your fingers. The oils in your fingers will contaminate that graft. And lastly, when you're doing those cuts, you want to do them just as you're ready to put them together. Don't leave them out in the air, especially on a hot day or a windy day like this. Don't leave them out in the air for more than just a few seconds if possible, because they'll oxidize. And when they oxidize, they actually turn a dull color and they start looking like a dead branch is dying. So if you try to put oxidized cuts together, they will not take. So you want to do your cuts just as you're ready to put them together. And doing the cuts just takes a little bit of practice, but instead of practicing on your good fruit trees, you can practice, like I said, on any tree. So if you have like a little shade tree or something like that, and you're just going to practice grafting, you can cut a branch off and graft it right back on again. Okay, so you won't hurt your tree, and you won't change the shape of your tree, and you won't kill a branch from your tree if you just take it off and put it back together again. It'll heal itself. Just like this branch right here. I could cut it here and then do my graft shaped cuts on it, put it back together again, and wrap it with parafilm, and it'll take right back off again. Of course, when you take a scion, what you really want to do is take off all of the leaves. You might leave one leaf on, but take all the leaves off if you can, because they will draw the moisture and the sap away from that cut where it's got to heal. And if they're taking it all, then the cut won't heal. All right? Like if you have a cut on your arm and then you make another cut on your leg, well, sorry, the blood's going to go to your leg first because it's a lower and larger extremity, and your arm's not going to heal. You probably won't heal either. All right. That's about all I have for everybody today. Questions and comments down below. Don't forget to stop over at the Burns Family MH and say howdy to them for me if you can, if the comments are turned back on. And hey, if you like what you see over there, give them a subscription. Help them along with subscriptions. This is G-Bear reminding you, thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with friends. G-Bear signing off.